You probably think of a haircut as a small act, a tidy-up before brunch, a feel-good reset before a new week. But what if I told you that on certain days, trimming your hair could quietly unravel your luck, drain your energy, and disrupt the flow of good things already headed your way? It sounds dramatic, maybe even superstitious, until you notice the pattern. The week after that spontaneous haircut, your mood dips, your plans hit strange snags, unexpected expenses pop up, and you're left wondering what changed. In ancient spiritual traditions, hair isn't just hair. It's an extension of your life force, like a silent thread connecting your physical body to the unseen rhythms of time. And the timing of when you cut that thread, that matters more than most people realize. Each day carries its own energetic signature. Some days are soft and open, perfect for release, clarity, renewal. Others are dense with unstable frequencies that make even small changes ripple out in unwanted ways. Cutting your hair on these high-risk days is like stepping into a river at the wrong moment. The current may pull stronger than you expect. So today, we're not just talking about hair. We're talking about timing, energy, and the hidden architecture of luck. We're going to explore the exact days when cutting your hair is considered energetically dangerous, not because of folklore, but because of how closely those days interact with your personal field of fortune, stability, and inner peace. If you've ever felt off after a haircut but couldn't explain why, this may be the missing piece. What you're about to discover could turn a simple trim into a powerful tool or a subtle sabotage of your own momentum. Let's begin. Section 1. Hair, the antenna of fate. Most people see hair as dead weight, a detail of grooming, a personal aesthetic. But the truth is, your hair may be the most misunderstood part of your body. Not because of how it looks, but because of how it works. You see, hair isn't just something that grows out of you. It's something that grows with you, absorbing energy, emotion, and memory as silently and consistently as breath. It's the antenna you didn't know you had, tuning into energies you've been taught to ignore. Think about it. When you're stressed, your hair feels heavy, oily, restless. When you're grieving, you may feel an urge to cut it all off, like removing a weight you can't name. After a joyful season, your hair seems to shine differently, even before you touch it. These aren't coincidences. They're signs. Subtle but consistent reminders that your hair is doing more than sitting on your head. It's reading the room, your body, your timeline. Hair is the only part of your body you can touch, cut, and reshape without physical pain. But that doesn't mean there's no energetic cost. From a spiritual and energetic standpoint, your hair acts as a sensor, like branches of a tree reaching for light and pulling in information. It records the cycles you've lived through. It gathers mood, momentum, and memory. This is why, for many people, a haircut feels like hitting the reset button, and why, at certain times, it also feels like a loss. You walk out of the salon looking better, but something feels off. A little floaty, a little drained. And you don't know why. Now let's talk about why timing matters. Energy is not static. Just like the moon has phases, your personal energy fluctuates. Some days are made for action. You feel bold, focused, ready. Others ask for stillness. You're foggy, your instincts go quiet, and no matter what you try to push forward, the world doesn't respond. Your hair is sensitive to that rhythm. It absorbs and reflects it. And when you cut your hair on a day when the energy is misaligned, you're not just getting a trim. You're interrupting a flow. You're possibly cutting off the very thing that was on its way to help you. This is why ancient wisdom warns against cutting your hair on specific days. It's not about fear, it's about rhythm. It's about understanding the deeper flow that runs underneath your routines. On a bad energy day, cutting your hair is like pruning a plant during frost. You may not see the damage immediately, but the roots know. The system stutters, growth slows. In contrast, cutting your hair on a high-energy day feels different, lighter, affirming, like letting go of weight instead of potential. There's also a connection between hair and intention. What you're feeling when you cut it matters. If you're restless, panicked, or emotionally overloaded, the energy of that moment infuses the action. The hair remembers that. You might have noticed haircuts taken in sadness don't always heal sadness. Sometimes they amplify it. Because if you cut your hair while in emotional chaos, you lock that vibration into your field before it has a chance to move through. On the flip side, if you cut with clarity, intention, and timing, the result isn't just visual, it's vibrational. You walk out lighter, not just in weight, but in energy. In modern life, we're taught to ignore timing. If the salon is open and your schedule is free, you go. Convenience trumps intuition, but your body doesn't run on convenience. It runs on cycles, and your hair, it's part of that system. It grows with the tides, it responds to stress. It remembers every phase of your life, from puberty to heartbreak, from triumphs to routines. Every inch holds time. And time, when handled carelessly, leaves imprints. This is why energy-sensitive individuals, from healers to high-performance coaches, often plan personal grooming carefully. They know that hair is not just a style, it's a sensor. It's a conduit, it's an energetic limb. And if you want to live with more grace, more clarity, and yes, more luck, you have to respect the small things that carry big frequencies. Your hair is one of them. So the next time you're about to book a haircut, pause, ask yourself, what am I cutting away? Is it stress, habit, a memory I'm done carrying, and more importantly, is today a good day to let go? Because when you understand your hair not just as decoration, but as an extension of your energetic signature, every snip becomes sacred. Every trim becomes a quiet act of alignment. And you stop living on accident, you begin living with awareness. This isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Freedom to act when the timing supports you. Freedom to let go when the rhythm is right. And freedom to reclaim your energy by honoring something as simple and as powerful as your own hair. Because in the end, what grows from you is part of you. And what you choose to release carries more than weight. It carries memory. It carries momentum. It carries fate. Section 2. The forbidden days when the scissors should sleep. There are days when everything flows, the coffee tastes better, the sun lands just right, conversations unfold with ease, you feel lighter without knowing why. And then there are days when nothing works, you spill things, forget things, miscommunicate without meaning to. Those days feel sticky, energetically heavy, like the world is moving slightly out of sync with your own breath. Most people brush it off. Just a bad day. But what if those moments are not random? What if they are signals, signs that the energetic currents of time are misaligned, and you, without realizing, are trying to swim against them? This matters most when you're doing something that interacts directly with your personal energy field. And yes, cutting your hair is one of the biggest ones. When you cut your hair, you're not just removing dead strands. You're disturbing the outer layer of your energetic system, the subtle field that protects, stores, and transmits your internal rhythm. On certain days, this system is already under pressure. Think of it like updating a phone during a power outage. The action itself might be simple, but the timing can turn it into a risk. Here are the days when you must think twice before lifting the scissors, not because the hair is dangerous, but because time in those moments is unstable. First, the 7th lunar month, often referred to in ancient systems as the month of lost light. Energetically, this period is marked by turbulence. The barrier between the physical world and the energetic one becomes thinner, and lower frequency energies tend to rise. On the outside, everything might seem normal, but underneath, the frequencies become jumbled like static between radio stations. Cutting your hair during this month is like unplugging your system while the lights are flickering. You open a portal and you don't control what steps through. Many report a sense of spiritual heaviness after haircuts during this period. Poor sleep, emotional fog, unexplained misfortune. Not because the haircut was bad, but because it created an energetic breach during a fragile time. Second, the first day of the lunar month. This day might feel bright and full of potential, and it is. But it is also energetically undefined. It's a fresh canvas, an open field, a newborn current still learning how to flow. Cutting your hair on this day is like stepping into wet concrete. It leaves an imprint that solidifies over the weeks to come. In Feng Shui, the first day is considered a seed day. The energy you carry that morning sets the tone for the entire cycle. If you trim your hair during this time, you may be unknowingly trimming the momentum your month was meant to carry. Those who observe this closely often notice patterns. When they begin a new month calmly, things unfold smoothly. When they make big changes or interfere with their appearance too early, the month stumbles, scatters, or stalls. Third, the 16th lunar day, the midpoint between new energy and its descent. It is not yet decline, but it is no longer expansion. This day carries tension, the kind you feel before a storm when the sky tightens but doesn't release. Energetically, this is a day of resistance. Cutting your hair on the 16th is like planting during high winds. Your energy is trying to stabilize, to consolidate what has already come. And your haircut, though well-intentioned, becomes a disruption. Many people report delays, misunderstandings, or uncharacteristic irritability following trims on this day. Not due to the cut itself, but the timing. It's like trying to tune a guitar while someone keeps changing the pitch. Your personal rhythm goes slightly out of tune. Other high-risk days include the 12th and 29th lunar days. Though less well-known, these days often coincide with dips in financial flow. Subtle but disruptive. People who cut their hair on these days often report impulsive spending, disorganization, or unexpected bills. It's not that the hair controls money. It's that on these days, your energetic field becomes more porous, and your decision-making processes lose their usual steadiness. It's easy to misplace things, to agree to what you don't actually want, to say yes out of urgency, not clarity. Then comes the 23rd day, a sleeper storm. It's rarely flagged as dangerous in mainstream spiritual calendars, but those who track energy closely know it's a day of internal dissonance. You might feel fine in the morning, but by afternoon there's fog in your focus, glitches in communication, sudden interruptions in what felt solid. Getting a haircut on this day is like realigning your GPS while the satellites are flickering. You might not get lost, but you're more likely to take the long way. There are also forbidden windows that have nothing to do with calendars and everything to do with context. For example, cutting your hair in the days before an exam, a presentation, or any event that requires mental clarity and steady focus. The energy around your head, subtle though it is, acts like a shell. And when you cut too close to a pressure moment, you weaken that shell. Students often describe studying perfectly, then blanking out. Professionals speak of feeling unusually foggy after a fresh trim. Again, not superstition, just poor timing. And then there's mourning. When you're grieving a loss, especially the passing of a loved one, your energy field becomes deeply sensitive. You're not just dealing with absence, your processing energetic shifts. Hair in that moment is part of a spiritual bridge. Cutting it can feel like cutting the thread between worlds. The result? Emotional numbness, deep fatigue, a feeling of floating without anchor. Not because you did something wrong, but because you did something too soon. None of this is about fear, it's about awareness. Timing isn't about control, it's about cooperation, with your own cycles, with the world's. With unseen tides that are always shifting, even when the sky looks calm. When you understand that some days are meant for stillness, you stop fighting them. You listen, you wait. You trim only when the wind is soft, the sky is open, and your energy is ready to release, not react. Because in the end, your hair isn't just something you wear, it's something you carry. And on the wrong day, a simple haircut can echo louder than you expected, across time, across moods, across luck. Section 3. Why hair is deeply tied to fortune. You've heard the phrase, cutting off dead ends, and in a physical sense, that's exactly what a haircut does. But what if those so-called dead ends carry more than split strands? What if they carry memory, energy, momentum, all the invisible threads of your lived experience? The truth is, your hair isn't just decorative. It's deeply tied to your energetic imprint, the part of you that responds to time, intuition, and the unseen patterns shaping your life. And because of that, the act of cutting your hair, especially on certain days or in certain emotional states, can quietly shift your fortune. Let's start with a basic but overlooked truth. Hair grows from your head, but it doesn't stop being you just because it's no longer connected to nerves. Like rings in a tree trunk, each inch of your hair holds a story. Stress, joy, transition, grief, it's all encoded there. You may not see it, but your body remembers. That's why so many people instinctively change their hair after major life events. A woman who just ended a long relationship might walk into a salon and say, "I need something different." And it's not about the style, it's about shedding the weight of an emotional chapter. The haircut becomes a silent ritual of release. But here's where it gets nuanced. While hair can be a powerful symbol of change, not all change is healing. Not all release is safe. If you cut your hair during an energetically unstable time or from a place of emotional chaos, you're not cleansing the energy, you're sealing it. Imagine trying to bottle a storm. The chaos doesn't leave, it just becomes part of the new shape. That's why many people feel regret after impulsive haircuts. Not because the style was wrong, but because they anchored a turbulent emotion into their energetic field. Instead of freedom, they feel foggy, scattered, or stuck. Hair energetically acts like a cord. It extends your aura, the energetic field surrounding your body, and interacts with your environment. It senses vibration. It picks up emotional charge. It even affects how people perceive and respond to you. When your hair is healthy, stable, and aligned with your energy, you naturally draw in better interactions. People feel at ease around you. Your communication flows. Opportunities unfold. But when your hair is disconnected from your inner rhythm, whether by timing or intention, something shifts. You may find yourself misunderstood, overlooked, or misaligned without knowing why. This is where fortune comes in. In many energetic systems, from Feng Shui to subtle body practices, luck isn't random. It's the result of flow. When your personal energy field is open, grounded, and coherent, good things find you. You don't have to chase. But when that field is fragmented, even by something as small as a haircut at the wrong time, luck seems to slide just out of reach. You apply, you try, you hustle, and still something stalls. This isn't punishment, it's misalignment. And the fastest way to fix it isn't doing more. It's doing things differently with awareness. That's why certain cultures and traditions treat hair with sacred respect. It's not just about appearance. It's about connection. Hair has long been associated with intuition, vitality, and spiritual identity. In spiritual circles, many believe that hair retains the frequency of your thoughts and emotions, especially the parts closest to the scalp. This belief isn't mystical fluff. It's experiential. Think about how differently your scalp feels during stress versus during calm. Think about how a simple head massage can bring tears, memories, or sudden relaxation. The energy in your head is active, and your hair is part of that system. Now, let's bring this back to fortune, not in the sense of lottery winnings or overnight success, but in the deeper sense of flow. Flow in your work. Flow in your relationships. Flow in your inner balance. When you cut your hair from a place of grounded intention and proper timing, you create space. Not just physical space on your head, but energetic space for clarity, renewal, and lightness to move in. People often report feeling mentally sharper, emotionally lighter, or even suddenly more visible to others after a haircut that was well-timed and emotionally clean. That's not coincidence. That's energetic recalibration. On the flip side, cutting your hair when your internal state is chaotic, or when time itself is energetically unsettled, can interrupt that flow. You might feel unclear about your goals. You might start noticing tension in conversations or hiccups in your plans. Again, not because your haircut caused misfortune, but because it collided with an already fragile energetic field. Instead of releasing tension, the cut trapped it. Instead of resetting your path, it threw off your compass. So how do you know when it's the right time? The simplest answer is listen, not to trends or convenience, but to yourself. Is your energy steady? Are you choosing this cut from clarity or from frustration? Does your body feel ready to let go, or are you forcing transformation before it's ripe? The answers don't come from your mind. They come from how your body responds when you slow down. If the idea of waiting a few days brings peace, you're not missing out, you're tuning in. And perhaps that's the real secret to fortune. It's not just about what you do. It's about when and why you do it. A haircut is never just a haircut. It's a message to your system: I'm ready for change. Make sure the system agrees. Make sure the rhythm is right. And make sure what you're cutting away is actually what you want to release, not a part of yourself still serving you in ways you haven't yet understood. Because hair carries more than length. It carries frequency. And when you cut with intention, timing, and respect, you're not just updating your look, you're updating your energy. That's where fortune lives, in the quiet choices, the small acts. The unspoken awareness that everything, even your hair, has a voice. The question is, are you listening? Section 4. Real-life consequences of energetic missteps. You don't need to believe in energy fields or lunar cycles to recognize when something in your life just stops working. Maybe it's a string of small things. You forget your keys, you miss a deadline, your usual confidence feels oddly dimmed. Or maybe it's bigger: a career plan derails, a sudden rift with someone you thought you understood. When these shifts happen right after you've made a personal change, like a haircut, the connection isn't always obvious. But what if those disruptions weren't random? What if your body was simply reacting to an energetic misstep? When we talk about timing and energy in personal rituals like haircuts, we're not invoking superstition. We're recognizing that the body and spirit are systems that operate on rhythm, pattern, and subtle alignment. Just like a plant struggles when watered at the wrong time of day, your life can wobble when you make changes without considering the emotional and energetic weather. Haircuts, especially, carry more charge than we give them credit for. And when they're done at the wrong time, the consequences often show up not in hair, but in everything else. Let's start with focus. Many people report feeling mentally scattered in the days following a haircut done on unstable days, particularly around the 1st, 16th, or 23rd day of the lunar cycle. There's a sense of fuzziness, difficulty concentrating, or just feeling off. This isn't psychological suggestion, it's energetic shock. Your hair, acting as a kind of subtle shield, has been altered. The body registers that disturbance, even if your conscious mind doesn't. You might find yourself rereading the same paragraph. You forget things. You feel out of sync, like your internal compass is spinning without landing. Then there's emotional instability. Haircuts done during high-stress periods or on days of energetic turbulence often correspond with heightened emotional responses. Irritability, melancholy, impatience. Some people describe crying without knowing why, or feeling unusually anxious for days. Again, it's not that the haircut caused your sadness. It's that the haircut broke a protective rhythm while you were still vulnerable. You released something before your system was ready, and the aftershock hits hard. Relationships are another arena where these energetic missteps echo loudly. After a poorly timed haircut, you might notice subtle disconnects. A phone call that turns tense, a partner who seems suddenly distant, a conversation that spirals into misunderstanding. These things often seem unrelated, but they're not. When your personal energy field is disturbed, your interactions shift. You either pull too much or repel too quickly. People sense that dissonance, and they respond to it, even if they can't explain it. Financial decisions also take a hit. One of the most reported consequences of cutting hair on unstable days, especially the 12th, 16th, 23rd, or 29th, is sudden money mismanagement. You overspend, forget to pay something important, or invest in something you instantly regret. It's not because you lost intelligence. It's because your intuitive grip loosened. The part of you that usually pauses to check, to reflect, to double confirm, went quiet. And in that silence, decisions slipped through that you normally wouldn't make. And then there's energy. The thing that's hardest to describe but impossible to ignore. People say, "I just feel drained." Like something was taken, their sleep is lighter, they wake up more tired, tasks feel heavier, conversations feel like effort. They say things like, "I feel weird in my own body." That sense of dislocation, of being slightly tilted away from yourself, is one of the strongest signs that an energetic misstep has occurred. And while yes, it often fades over time, the toll it takes in the meantime is real. Missed chances, foggy thinking, strained connections, low-level anxiety that simmers without a name. Of course, all of this sounds subtle. But subtle does not mean insignificant. In fact, the most profound shifts in our lives often begin subtly. A missed opportunity here, a moment of doubt there, a delay that turns into disinterest. We're taught to chase big signs. But the truth is, misfortune rarely arrives like a hurricane. It arrives like a whisper. And if your timing is off, especially in actions that touch your energetic field, that whisper can become a song you don't remember choosing. But here's what's important. Nothing here is irreversible. Energy, like nature, is forgiving. It can be realigned, it can be restored. The key is awareness, not panic, not guilt. Just conscious recognition that how and when we interact with our own energy field matters. And hair, humble, beautiful, and often ignored, is one of the most sensitive channels we have. So if you've had one of those haircuts, the kind that felt strange afterward, that left you unsettled, foggy, or disconnected, you don't need to undo it. You just need to balance, ground yourself, sit quietly. Let your energy recalibrate. And next time, before you pick up the scissors or book the appointment, Ask the question that changes everything. Is this the right time to shift? Because fortune is less about what you have and more about what you're aligned with. And alignment starts with the smallest choices, the kind of choices that seem too soft to matter, like when to cut your hair. Section 5. Best days to cut hair for fortune, clarity, and peace. After all the days we've been told to avoid, it's easy to feel cautious, even tense, about ever making a change. But energy isn't just full of danger. It's full of openings. Just as there are high-risk times when cutting your hair can scatter your energy, there are also powerful days when a simple trim can clear stagnant emotion, realign your thoughts, and quietly invite good fortune into your life. These are not mystical secrets hidden in ancient scrolls. They're patterns, rhythm points, energetic green lights, waiting for you to move when the current is moving with you. Let's start with the 4th day of the lunar month. This day carries the frequency of stabilization. It's the first time in the new cycle when energy begins to settle, after the raw chaos of the first few days. On this day, your inner field tends to become more receptive, more grounded. If the first of the month is like a blank canvas, then the 4th is the first deliberate brushstroke. Cutting your hair on this day is an act of intentional clarity. You're trimming not out of stress or impulse, but with the support of a rhythm that's beginning to hum in harmony. Many describe feeling lighter but focused after a haircut on the 4th. It's a day for releasing what's heavy without interrupting what's still unfolding. Then comes the 10th day, a quiet favorite among those who work with energy. By this point in the lunar cycle, most of the early turbulence has faded, and the energetic field is in motion. This is a day of flow, especially when it comes to work, communication, and clarity of intention. Cutting your hair on this day is like opening a window just as the breeze arrives. You're not forcing change, you're welcoming it. People often report an unexpected ease in conversations, sharper thinking, or renewed motivation after a well-timed haircut on the 10th. It's not magic, it's alignment. Your outer shift is supported by an inner current that says, yes, now. The 13th day of the lunar cycle brings a different gift, insight. Often overlooked, this day carries the frequency of mental clarity and intuitive sharpness. It's ideal for those seeking a new perspective, not just in appearance, but in mindset. If you've been stuck in a rut, creatively blocked, or emotionally flat, cutting your hair on the 13th can act like an energetic clearing. You're not just letting go of strands, you're making space in your field for new ideas, solutions, and inspired momentum. Those who choose this day often say their mind woke up. Decisions that felt foggy become clear. Conversations shift direction. The haircut becomes a subtle unlock. Then there's the 3rd lunar day, a quiet yet powerful opening for emotional reset. This day is not as forward-moving as the 10th or as mentally charged as the 13th, but it holds a gentle balance. The energy here supports grounding, emotional detox, and inner calm. If you've been feeling overwhelmed, tense, or weighed down by invisible stress, a haircut on this day can feel like a deep exhale. It's less about bold transformation and more about soft release. People often report improved sleep, better digestion, or a noticeable mood lift after a trim on the 3rd. Again, not superstition, just body, timing, and intention moving in harmony. What ties all these days together isn't superstition, it's sensitivity. These moments are invitations, not rules. They're chances to act with timing instead of impulse, with trust instead of tension. When you cut your hair on one of these days, you're not just changing how you look. You're changing how energy moves around and within you. You're clearing the static, smoothing the current, saying yes to something new in a way that doesn't disrupt but supports. It's also important to listen to your own internal signal. You might feel drawn to a day not because the calendar said it was ideal, but because something in you feels ready. That readiness matters. Some people report profound release on days not classically known for transformation, but they were emotionally aligned, centered, and clear. That's the most important ingredient. Right timing outside means nothing if you're misaligned inside. But when both line up, your rhythm and the world's, that's when real shifts occur. These best days aren't about being lucky in a vague sense. They're about creating a space where energy can support you instead of resisting you. When you make changes aligned with these rhythms, things tend to unfold more smoothly. You get the call. The conversation flows. You say what you mean and feel understood. You notice beauty again in your home and others, in yourself. That's not just a new look, that's new frequency. In the end, the right haircut at the right time doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you see yourself, with less noise, more clarity, and a quiet sense of I'm back. Not back to who you were, but back to your own flow. And from there, fortune doesn't have to be chased. It starts showing up, not because of what you did, but because of when and how you did it. Final. You began this video perhaps thinking we were just talking about hair, a simple trim, a routine errand. But now you've journeyed through a deeper understanding, one where time, energy, and personal intention all quietly shape your path. And as strange as it may sound, your hair has been part of that story all along. Not because it holds power by itself, but because it holds memory, vibration, connection. Let's gather what we've uncovered. You've learned that certain days, like the 1st, 16th, or 23rd of the lunar cycle, carry unstable energy. These aren't dangerous in a dramatic sense, but they're delicate. Cutting your hair on those days can interrupt energetic momentum, cloud mental clarity, or leave you feeling strangely unsettled. Not because hair is mystical, but because timing, like music, needs rhythm. And when you cut during a discordant note, everything feels a little offbeat. You've also seen the opposite, the 4th, 10th, 13th, and 3rd lunar days. These aren't just lucky. They are aligned pockets of time when the world's rhythm and your own inner readiness can meet in harmony. A haircut on those days doesn't just refresh your look, it resets your field. It clears emotional static. It gives permission to move forward with clarity, softness, and grace. But beyond all the dates and cycles, perhaps the most important truth is this: how you do something matters just as much as when. If you approach change from urgency, fear, or restlessness, even the perfect day won't protect you. But if you act from stillness, from trust, from alignment with your own knowing, even the smallest shift becomes sacred. A haircut becomes more than a habit. It becomes a healing. This isn't about control. It's about cooperation with your energy, with your timing, with the subtle but powerful architecture of luck that's constantly unfolding in your life. You don't have to micromanage your destiny. You just have to notice it, to pay attention to the moments when your body says, wait, and when it quietly says, go now. That listening, more than any ritual or calendar, is what brings peace, flow, and yes, real fortune. So the next time you reach for the scissors or book that appointment, pause. Ask, am I releasing something, or am I running from it? Because your hair, that soft, silent witness to all your seasons, is not just growing from you. It's growing with you. Every inch a reflection, every cut an echo. In a world that tells you to always be doing, always be changing, this is your invitation to change differently. To change gently, with timing, with clarity, with soul. And maybe that's the true power behind all of this, not superstition, not perfection, but awareness. The kind that whispers, you don't need to chase luck. You just need to stop interrupting it. Let each haircut from now on be a quiet yes to the season you're in. Not because the world told you it's time, but because something inside you knew. The energy is ready, and so am I.